gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's July the 5th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt Shodell, it is becoming a cliche. I am always saying the time is now on this show. The time is freaking now.
Gotcha. I got it. I figured it out. Time's now.
Wow, what an exciting time for Miami Hurricane fans. Just a massive commitment on the 4th of July from Francis Mauigoa, the 5-star offensive lineman from IMG Academy. And Matt, this is, just a continuation of really what we've seen for years from Mario Cristobal, first at Oregon, now at Miami. He recruited Penei Sewell, who was an elite offensive lineman at Oregon, who went number 7 in the NFL draft. Make no mistake, Francis Mauigoa is the Penei Sewell of Miami right now. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the comparison that we're hearing. This is the best part for me. So I talked to his coach, and IMG is a serious program, not just serious athletes. They treat it like a college program. I have the head coach's phone number. I reached out to him. Love to do a story on Francis, your perception of him, and the head coach texted me back. Contact our media relations director, and he will hook you up with me. I called the media relations director, Don Zalotti. I said, hey, Don, you know me, just, because, Billy Miller's the new coach over there. I said, can you let Billy know, no, nothing crazy here. He committed to Miami, and I just want to do a nice story on the kid being a Hurricane and what he brings to the table. And it's 4th of July, so I'm telling Don, I'm like, listen, I got a family. I got to go to the fireworks. I'm going to the James Taylor show. I got to go, bro. He's like, I'll text him right now. He'll call you right away. So he texts Don, literally 5 minutes after I was texting with Billy. Billy's like, you got to, do whatever. I'm on the phone. He calls me back. he's like, yeah, now we can talk. I'm like, listen, I love you run a college-like program. I said, I get it. And have
you noticed all the talent they got transferring into IMG?
Right, so that's the point. So they're constantly. That's what I'm trying to say. This is not a normal program. That's what my point is. This is the top program. You get kids from this school to come to Miami. You start a pipeline from the school to Miami. It's over. This is college football in high school. These kids are future professional athletes in high school. And if Miami gets these guys, it's great. They run it like a professional program from the media all the way down. The best part of my conversation with Coach Miller was that at the end of practices, they pick a big guy to try and catch a punt to end practice. And they always pick Francis. And Francis always makes the catch. And we watched it at Miami sometimes. They used to put a big guy back there. And you'd see these big guys lumbering around. And they'd always miss the ball, misjudge it. It would bounce off their helmet sometimes. Everyone would get a good laugh. This guy, he says he's such a good athlete. He's just naturally a punt returner. I mean, he can judge the punt. He can catch the punt. And they all just go home. There's practice never runs late. So I thought that was a neat story.
Yeah, and it's funny. It really is sometimes men against boys when IMG shows up at a stadium. And I'm going to crank up some highlights right now of Francis, and people can kind of get an idea of what kind of player he is. But I mean, look at this. I mean, look at this. He's blocking the kid 10 yards down the field. I mean, you can't. How do you evaluate a guy like this? I mean, he knocks one guy down. He's running down the field. I mean, obviously a complete, utter physical mismatch at the high school level. But Matt, the bottom line is Mario Cristobal, he's getting the skill athletes on offense. And now he's building the line of scrimmage around them. And you could just see where this is going. Miami is building what is going to be an elite offense in the very near future.
Yeah, these are the pieces. This is how it starts. I kept telling you, Gary, don't build to the transfer portal. Build to recruiting. And this is what good recruiting looks like. This is what great recruiting looks like. This is how you build a national championship team in 2 to 4 years. I keep saying, don't tie yourself down to these freshman and sophomore transfers on the offensive line. The John Dennis's and the and Sagapolu. You're getting 5-star offensive linemen. 5-star offensive line. You don't need transfers, man. Like, just keep getting 5-star after 5-star after 5-star. And that's how you build it. I understand they want to win now, but like, this is great. This is how you build a championship team, not through 12 transfer portal additions, through 3 or 4 portal additions when you miss in recruiting, when you have holes in your roster because kids leave early, you're not expecting them to leave, that are really good. And everything else is development, man. And they're on their way. We know they can develop. They're already getting the recruits. Everything's looking great. And that's me saying that. That's me saying that. That counts for 10 times when you say that.
Well, in a tribute to my man Jay Collette on the CaneSport.com message boards, I'm going to say they can walk and chew gum. Okay, they can recruit good guys out of the transfer portal that are freshmen and sophomores, and they can go into the high school ranks and get elite guys, like Francis Mauigoa. And you're going to have 15 offensive linemen at least on your roster when you get it right, and you're hoping to make them all count. So, man, we can't say enough about this one, Matt. Just a continuation of phenomenal recruiting. I mean, the coaches have been on vacation for the last week. This is the 6th commitment since they went on vacation. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous what we are seeing going on right here at Miami. I hope everybody out there, really can take a step back and just appreciate. I mean, we know it's different than it's been. We understand, the advancement of the program and all that. But this is special. When you are on a vacation week and you reel in 6 commitments, that's unbelievable. All right, man, all these commitments have obviously created an enormous amount of excitement, but we got some other amazing content on the website today that people can dive into. And I hope everyone's been enjoying the first 4 or 5 days of the new CaneSport.com. And one of the reasons we made this move was because we felt like we could upgrade the level of content that we provide for you guys. And it starts with our GOAT series that we launched last week with part 1 of the Jimmy Johnson interview with Roy Firestone. Very well received. Thank you for all the kudos we've gotten in the last 5 days. And I'm happy to see everybody's enjoying the start of the GOAT series. Well, today we have part 2 with Roy and Jimmy Johnson. And I encourage everybody, make sure you watch that. I'm also going to create a full-length video combining parts 1 and 2 for those of you that are starting from scratch on it. It'll be about an hour long, but it'll be another way that you guys can view the parts 1 and 2 of the Jimmy Johnson interview on the GOAT series. And Matt, I know you've had a chance to watch the entire thing, and Roy Firestone just did such a great job with Jimmy, and Jimmy was really into it and very engaging.
Yeah, the amazing thing with Roy is he has this way of sort of broaching topics that maybe you and I wouldn't be able to broach so successfully, and it just comes across so naturally, the way he says it and the way he presents it, and everyone respects Roy Firestone. He's earned everything he's gotten for a reason, and as you watch part 2, you'll understand why. So I encourage everyone, make sure you watch part 2. Part 1 was great. Part 2 was even, I wouldn't say even better, but it was great also. I mean, they're both amazing pieces.
And like I said, for those that are starting from scratch on it, I'll just make it easy. We'll make it easy for you. We'll create a file on our YouTube channel, which is a complete compilation of parts 1 and 2. And then tomorrow we even got a little overtime for you coming, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, another just phenomenal thing that's coming up for you guys this week. It starts today. Is Inside the Lines with Dan Radakovich. And I had the chance to spend an hour with Dan a few days ago. Unfortunately, it was before the whole Big Ten heist of USC and UCLA came along, so that's not included in the interview. But also about an hour long. I've divided it into 4 parts to make the viewing easy for you guys. And today is part 1. And, we talk about a whole wide range of subjects, why Dan's at Miami, what is he hoping to accomplish. We talk about the new facilities. We talk about Mario Cristobal. We talk about the Cavender twins coming into the women's basketball program, what that's going to mean for UM. So you'll have that to sink into all this week. Part 1 of that is airing today. Okay, other stories on the website today. You've seen our CaneSport Player Performance Index launch here in the last few days. Today we get to number 27, Justice Oluwaseun, who is going to be, Matt, in my opinion, a swing guy on the offensive line. I don't know if he's going to win a starting job, but he'll be like number 6, number 7. He'll be like a sixth man in basketball. And on the offensive line, that is very significant. Miami has been lacking offensive line depth in recent years. Your thoughts on Justice and where his place will be on the offensive line this year?
I mean, I just keep it real. Too small to be a tackle. He's an okay guard. He belongs at guard. And he's a Garin Justice guy, right? I'm pretty sure he played for him at UNLV. That's the only reason he's even at Miami. Not a lot of offers in the portal from what I remember. He's okay. Like you said, he's a swing guy. If they had a really good offensive line, he'd be a third team maybe guy. He's not a wow guy. He's not a guy who's going to maul anybody. He's just okay. And but that's where we are. The reason I mention it isn't to make a guy sound bad. Like, I hate to do that. I just tell you guys like how I see it. I'm not going to lie.
You hate to do it. You just did it.
I am. Yeah, I am.
But I'm going to tell you why I think you're real.
Well, I haven't finished yet. So now you broke my train of thought.
Sorry.
So where he's rated on the, what is he, 27th? I didn't even look.
27th, yeah.
27th. So the fact that he should be a third teamer on a great offensive line tells you where this roster is. And this is why I'm telling people, don't put it on Mario if the team wins 8 games this year. It takes time. It's not overnight. The roster is still mainly Manny Diaz. Sorry, the other person who you don't want to talk about. His players. Like, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's numbers. And it's not an overnight process. So fans get super excited about recruiting, get super excited about the coaches being great coaches. This team will have coached players much better than they've been coached in the past. They're not allowed to be coached that much. 15 spring practices and 30 fall practices, 45 days with the actual full coaching staff of a bunch of Manny Diaz guys. You can expect whatever you want, but that's not a lot of time to make somebody into a great player. Strength room staff will be better, of course, but you got to give the staff time. And if they struggle in a couple of games this season that you think they shouldn't have, give them a break, man.
I'm going to tell you why I think that I don't think you can keep putting the UNLV stigma on him. I mean, the bottom line is this guy's played several years of college football now. His body is totally different than it's ever been. And he's an experienced kid that you could just pop in there that's not going to be freaking out like, oh, God, I'm in a college football game. Like, he's been there and done that. And there's value in those guys. And, no, he's not going to wow. No, he's probably not going to get drafted into the NFL at the end of this year. But Justice has a valuable place on a team that doesn't have a lot of offensive line depth. And I could tell you that he impressed Alex Mirabal. He impressed Mario Cristobal. They see a lot of value in Justice Oluwaseun. And I think he'll get a reasonable amount of playing time this year. Moving on, some other things that have been on the website. We had a Where Are They Now with Melvin Bratton that people really liked, Matt. And, we spot these in every now and then, but people like to take those trips back down memory lane and get reacquainted with some of these names of the past. And, Jimmy Johnson was one of them in the Roy Firestone interview. And then Jim Martz's Where Are They Now, which has always been a popular feature of CaneSport.com going back decades. Is another vehicle that we have to do that. And it was nice to catch up with Melvin and just see what's going on these days. I encourage everybody to take a look at that. Other stories, we have a story on Dylan Stevenson. Now, this is a defensive end from Miami Killian that has flown a little under the radar in recruiting because you can't really get a handle on just exactly where he stands and what he's doing. But, Matt, you had a chance to speak to him. And what did you walk away from after spending a few moments with Dylan Stevenson? He's
an interesting prospect because he's 2024. He's local. He's still sort of figuring things out. I know he likes Miami a lot. He's been on campus already a few times. So these are the kinds of guys you got to keep home. We'll see what happens.
I will be your shield in the fiercest battle. I'll defend you.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Cleveland Reed, and I play offensive line, and my job is to protect. I protect my family with Life Wallet. How about you?
course, I got Life Wallet. It's the best way to protect my family.
Long as we go together, we'll die whenever. Be a light, couldn't let the darkness try you ever. Truth in my word, you I lie to never.
To protect you and your family, get Life Wallet now.
Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
Another story we did in the last 24 hours is we ranked South Florida's elite receiver recruits. And, Matt, you look at it on face value, there's so many of them. But I thought it would be a good exercise to really dive into the tape and really break these guys down and come up with a ranking of, just a pecking order of where we think they stand. And number one on the list ended up being Nathaniel Joseph. And no, it wasn't with a bias that he's already committed to Miami. I absolutely love what I see of this guy on tape. He's so explosive off the line of scrimmage. And then once he gets going into his route, he very quickly gets up to world-class speed. And I think the combination of those two things is going to allow Nathaniel Joseph to be a phenomenal player at the college level. And then at number two, Matt, I put Hakeem Williams. And that's because he's a big receiver. His catch radius is incredible. He's got decent speed. Miami, Matt, in the last few days has really put focus on Hakeem Williams. They are amping up the recruitment of him. And don't be surprised, in my opinion, if Hakeem Williams becomes a Miami commit in the relatively near future.
Yeah, these are the kinds of guys that they want to make a run at. But I have a feeling it's going to really be a pretty run-heavy offense. I think that's what they want to make their identity. So, listen, we'll see. Hakeem Williams, he has to see them throw the ball successfully. He has to see them win games. That's the important thing. That's what I posted on the board yesterday. This is a kid who has to see it. Just like we're talking with Mark Fletcher. He has to see it because they haven't seen it. This is not a team that's done real well the last 20 years, So they have to see, oh, wow, look at the difference. Look how this offense is averaging 40 points, whatever it is, and whatever they're doing that's innovative. And then the only other thing I'd add real quick is, Lamar Seymour, someone saying, oh, you're going to have egg on your face when Lamar Seymour's amazing. You ranked him last. And it was your ranking, Gary, not mine. So I said, yeah, Gary will have egg on his face. But I said, but guess what? The Miami coaches decided they have better options. This isn't Gary having egg on his face. The Miami coaches also evaluated him thoroughly. They know everyone at Miami Central. They've watched every second of the kid's tape that matters. And they just said, listen, unfortunately, they have other players that, this is a business. This is not, hey, you're from Central, you're local, we'll just take you. No, this is a program that has to have top-tier talent at every position and every single player.
And the ranking goes on from there. Brandon Innes, who's off to Ohio State, Robbie Washington, who's a Miami commit, Jaylen Brown, who Miami's recruiting. But a guy that maybe Miami probably has ranked higher than Gary Ferman, which is okay, is Andy Jean, Miami Northwestern. That's another thing I've been hearing the last, I'd say, 48 hours, Matt, that Miami is really picking it up with Andy Jean. And that's another one that I would not be surprised if in the near term we see an Andy Jean commit. And he's another one that's kind of like a little under the radar, I would say, on the national scene. But Miami keeps coming back to him, Matt. He was committed once before. When he decommitted, they didn't stop recruiting him. Now they're, they are amping up their recruitment of him as we speak here. And Andy Jean is going to have a hard time turning down the Miami Hurricanes.
He told us that Miami was his leader flat out. But then after that, talking to some people close to the situation, they're like, we're not so sure. Like there's every recruit has two different sides to the coin. I mean, some of these kids will just tell one program, hey, you're it. And then they'll just keep with the recruiting process and not tell other schools anything. Some tell every school you're it. With Andy Jean, I think he's told multiple schools that he's very high on them, and we're gonna have to wait and see. I do think if Miami really wants him, at the end of the day, I don't see how he doesn't come, but that's just the reality of the situation with recruiting. Is different. Recruits handle things differently. They have a tougher time saying no to adults. He happens to be a recruit who I'm hearing has a little bit of a problem saying no to adults, which is understandable. I'd say half the recruits out there have the same exact situation.
Another story that we have on the website, we could go on, and we're not going to talk about every.
There's like 20 stories.
We're not going to talk about every.
I'm going to have my breakfast sandwich. Let's go.
We're not going to talk about every single story we have on the website, but we did do analysis of what does the Jaden Rashada addition mean for Jake Garcia, Ja'Cory Brown, Emory Williams, and the Miami Hurricanes quarterback room in general, Matt. And I think it's going to be absolutely epic watching this competition in the coming years, really. And obviously right now Tyler Van Dyke is here, and we're assuming that Tyler Van Dyke's going to leave after the season and go to the National Football League, and that is probably going to happen. But I don't know if it's 100% absolute. I think a lot's going to depend on how this season plays out. But Matt, your thoughts on just the Miami quarterback room and what getting Jaden Rashada means to the general overall competition?
I mean, Coach Washington already said who's going to start, so there's no speculation. Coach Robbie Washington, sorry. He already said Jaden Rashada has been named the starter once Tyler Van Dyke leaves. So who am I to argue with Coach Washington now? But it's going to be fun. We haven't seen a real high-level three-way quarterback battle since, I don't know, Steve Walsh. I wasn't around those days. You were. It's been a long time. So it's going to be exciting. Yeah,
it really is. It's going to be fun to watch beginning – I guess with spring practice this spring, once they're all in place. All right, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you, as always, for starting your day with us. And exciting times, everyone. And I'm sure you can sense the excitement that we have. And it's been so much fun for us at CaneSport to cover everything going on. This last week has been insane with all the commitments, with our site move to the On3 network. Thank you so much. We had three straight days of record traffic thanks to you guys, and we just want everybody
that was just me re-clicking on everything. I just want to make you excited. That's all it was. I wanted to get you amped up and excited.
Well, I mean, I just want everybody to know how much we appreciate you guys, and
for real.
Thank you so much for the support, and we're glad that everyone's liking the website, and obviously that site move special for all Miami Hurricane fans, whether you've been with us in the past or not. It's there for you to experience this transition to the new site. And thank you once again for making our move so seamless and special. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We'll see you next time, everybody.